You're now tuned in to the Two Dudes, One Ball Fantasy Football Podcast.
What's going on, guys? Welcome into another Two Dudes, One Ball Fantasy Football Podcast. As always, it's me, it's Mike. We're locked in. We're ready to go. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, please. Drop a like, comment, show some love. Follow our socials, Two Dudes, One Ball FF on Instagram, Two Dudes, One Ball on Twitter. You know what it is. Mike, how you doing, man?
Dude, I'm doing great, everybody. I hope everybody's doing good too. Ron, I hope you're doing good. Day's been going crazy. Days are going fast. Man, schedules are released tonight, dude. We got
I
that.
know.
We got that coming out too, right? Man, you
Yep.
guys, who do you guys open up against?
We got Denver.
Denver. Nice. We got the Raiders on Monday night. Gotta wait
Nice.
one extra day. Come on, man. Itching out. That's good though, because that means all day Thursday and all day Sunday. We just watch
Yep.
fantasy. All fantasy related.
Exactly.
All right, brother.
Can't wait. All right, let's get into breaking balls.
Sir. Sit over here. What do we got for us today?
Oh, we got some good stuff here. Schedules aren't official yet. Obviously, the big news is all the schedule releases. They're not, I don't think, completely official, but a lot of the beat reporters, a lot of sources are leaking out some stuff. So I'm pretty sure you can pull up your favorite team's entire schedule right now. But again, nothing is set in stone quite yet.
Yeah, man.
Bucs Cowboys season opener Thursday night.
Who do you got? Hot take, go.
There's no hot take. It's Bucs, and that's great for
it's
my
all Bucs.
division.
Damn. Yeah, no, it definitely is. I agree. I think it's gonna be a fun game too. It's a good game to start off. It should be if Dak comes back, a high-powered offense. That'll be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Super Bowl champs
Versus America's team.
They're gonna come out and set the tone, or are they gonna come in that little slump?
Yeah.
We'll see. Charles Leno goes to the Washington football team. Unfortunate for us, but he got cut for a reason. So they snagged him up. They do have some offensive line troubles there, so helps bolster that line a little bit.
For sure. Any Antonio Gibson truthers and people wanting him to go crazy this year, that's definitely a plus.
Yeah. What else? Bortles to Green Bay. Is that a sign? Mike?
Man, it's got to be, right? You got to take that for something. They're definitely playing precaution, am I right? I mean, come on.
I don't know if he's the answer there.
I honestly, it's definitely a sign not for Rodgers, but for Jordan Love. They don't like him. Not that they don't like him.
They came out and said that he wasn't.
He's
ready
not developed yet. Yeah. So I mean, how long does it really take? I really don't think Rodgers gave him shit. I think he was pissed and probably didn't talk to that kid at all on the sideline. And that kid was just probably trying to learn everything he can through practice and just watching game film. So.
Poor kid.
Yeah.
Other than that, that's pretty much it.
Well, I also did see real quick Broncos just before we went recorded. Broncos did sign right tackle Bobby Massey.
Bobby Massey, nice.
It just bolsters up their offense line too.
Yeah, and some depth here, even if he doesn't become their starter. But you never know. All right. Let's get into it.
Get into what, man? What's the segment?
Flip the screen, son.
Alrighty.
Breakout players.
Yes, sir.
I want to preface this. Obviously, we talked about it before we went live. These are players. Maybe breakout wasn't the best term to use, but these are players that we think you can rely on in fantasy. Obviously, week in, week out. And maybe they won't be huge league winner guys, but they're going to be guys you can rely on. With maybe there's some negative stigma around them. We're going to try and help you get over that a little bit here with these players we're talking about.
Yeah. So it's. Again, a lot of these players too, if you might hear someone that seems obvious, something's either happened to them. We're not going to throw out guys like Dalvin Cook or, because they're already the studs, nothing really changed on the team. But people like Josh Jacobs can still come up in here and find his way in there because the fact they added a new running back and the whole offense is kind of changing and the also O-line. But stuff like that. There's got to be more influencing the player. So Don't read too much into the breakout.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to try and avoid the obvious, like the Derrick Henrys, the Dalvin Cooks of the world, but
yes,
while trying to give you some good names to keep an eye on through this fantasy season. All right, you want to start it off here? It's your division.
Yeah, but no, I don't want to do that.
Oh, that's all right. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
All right, Steelers. This one might be considered what you would think obvious here. Najee Harris. We both agree here on Najee. again, the you want to go ahead? Go ahead. I'll let you go.
Well, I just wanted to, if you had listened to our previous videos, if not, go back and watch them, like them, give us comments. We had said that this could be a trap scenario here, but at the same time, it could be a blessing, it could be a curse. He's in a spot
Right.
that's perfect, and you got to bank on that to happen, man. He's got no one other that's going to compete with his talent. He's
Yeah.
so.
And when we say trap, it's not necessarily the player. It's maybe his ADP. If his ADP is creeping into the first round, like we saw with Clyde Edwards-Helaire last year, maybe you might want to pivot to a more safe option.
Exactly.
But as far as the player, he's going to be, we're going
He's
to
in
obviously
yeah,
have him as a breakout.
he's in a smash spot this year too.
Yeah.
All right,
So again,
the second team in this division is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals. And as a breakout player who was on the track to have a really good season last year with Joe Burrow, and that was T. Higgins. T. Higgins should be able to restart where he kind of left off with Burrow last year, and fill in. I personally think Jamar Chase is a great wide receiver, but with the 100+ targets we've talked about in that previous episodes with AJ Green being gone now, I think a lot of it might go towards Higgins. Burrow and him, they seemed on point last year and a lot of connection. And he's very athletic, and I think majority of those targets that are missing won't go to one person; they'll go to Higgins. And Higgins is gonna be a smash guy you can rely on this year. Out of the three that are there, I like him. I think Ryan's agreeing with me, right, dude? I think
100%.
yeah. So
Well, think about it. In a perfect world, say those 100 targets that AJ Green left behind do all go to Jamar Chase. That still leaves, what was it, close to 100 targets still for
both of
Higgins
them,
last year.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
Boyd
T.
and
Higgins is a great player. Right. Boyd, again, if it all stays the same and those 100 go to Jamar Chase, there's still plenty of targets that went to Higgins that will continue to go to Higgins. I mean, Higgins isn't a bad player. He went out there and he looked phenomenal when he was on the field. They're not just going to be like, well, we drafted him, so now Higgins, you're beat. If anything, Boyd might get pushed aside,
Yeah, did they draft
So
Higgins too in a high round last year?
they drafted Higgins. It was either
I
second
thought
or
it was like
maybe the third.
I thought it was. I thought
No,
they.
he wasn't. Let's look. You know what? Let's pull this shit up, Mike.
Say, I know they used.
T.
I
Higgins
thought
draft.
second round. That sounds right. I think they had 2 picks in the second round. I want to say like 37th,
Yeah,
47th,
33rd overall. So he
33rd.
was essentially a first round pick.
Okay, yeah, there you go. So boom.
Good player. Great player. He's going to continue to perform well. Next one, I'll take this one away here, Mike. Odell Beckham. Now we had him in our bounce back candidate episode a couple episodes back. Odell's too talented of a player to keep going out and putting up mediocre numbers. If there's a year to do it, it's going to be this year, where the Browns offense we saw last year take a turn better. They improved, and they made a playoff push. They knocked out the Steelers round one. So they come out. Baker improves off his last season. Obviously, their dominant run game. Then Odell is in a prime position to be good. Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry. Odell is that X factor on the outside. So if Odell comes out, I'm really high on him this year. Excuse me, as being someone you can rely on in fantasy.
Yeah, and that brings us to the last team in this division. That's me. And I mean, before we get to that, dude, I just want to say I completely agree. Not to cut you off or anything, but Odell, or switch gears. I'm just excited for the next guy. But Odell, yeah, injuries battle him. He looked kind of good last year. He finally looked like he was on page with Baker, but again, ACL injury, and the year before that, another injury. So I think he's going to be more reliant on how Baker plays, and Baker needs to play like a stud, and he'll be a stud. But again, I didn't mean to jump the gun, but we're going to the guy and my guy who I drafted so high on last year and potential keeper for me in our main league, and that is J.K. Dobbins. I think J.K. Dobbins here pretty much made Mark Ingram a healthy scratch every week after the bye week from week 9 to the end of the season. Dobbins is a clear cut awesome running back for the team. He's going to get majority of the carries. Gus is there. Lamar's there. They're going to take carries away from him, but Dobbins will. He's smashing all the limited opportunities he had last year, and it's only going to increase this year. So
100%. Dobbins is a phenomenal player. Ingram's gone. It's him and Gus, and Dobbins is the more explosive player. He's going to be a guy you can rely on week in and week out, as are all these players.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Here now it's the not so fun stuff.
Oh man, this is where it gets.
Houston Texans. Now, obviously, some teams have more options than others. Texans are one with little to no options. However, again, as we touched on last week, good players are still good players. And Brandon Cooks, when he was on the field, he looked good. Obviously, it's Watson throwing him the ball. We don't know what's going on with that situation. But as of right now, if Watson is there and Cooks is on the field, Cooks is going to be a fantasy producer for your team as he was last year.
Yeah, and it's tough to really we have a small sample size here. They don't really have anybody else. They lost Will Fuller, Watson's in that hole. The only thing we could think of was the quarterback they took, right? We could have
Yeah, I forget his name, dude. To be completely honest with
I,
you,
wa- I know.
and it was late.
Yeah, it was a third round pick, and it was their first pick in the draft. Terrible. So it was kind of like slim pickings, but Cooks is definitely the most talented guy on that roster as a whole on offense. We're not going to put David Johnson and Philip Lindsay up there or Mark Ingram. They're not going to cut. That's going to be a three down back you don't want to get into. So I think Cooks is a good spot here. For that,
Davis Mills is the quarterback.
Davis Mills. There you go.
Okay,
So we'll move on to number two in that division, or the second team in that division is the Indianapolis Colts, and we both like Carson Wentz.
Carson, baby.
I personally like him, dude, because I think he's reunite with his offense coordinator that he had a good run with his MVP year with, or
Yep.
potential MVP year with the Eagles and the head coach at Frank Reich. And he just comes behind a stacked O line, that's looking to keep getting better after losing a big piece. He's got a pass catching back in Hines. Jonathan Taylor's young and ready, and he's got some big weapons on offense. Jack Doyle's big. Mo Alley Cox is big. T.Y. Hilton's his vet he can go to. Michael Pittman was a just rookie who's working on things. He looked good and didn't look like he was bad for the team last year. So I think these are good signs for Wentz to come to a fresh team and get a fresh start and build on where he left off with Frank Reich a couple years ago.
100%, dude. And another thing people are going to forget about Wentz is when he was, obviously last year was a complete debacle, but when he was doing his thing, he was doing his thing, and he runs the ball. He does force the ball a lot, which benefits us in fantasy. I mean, you lose a point, obviously, for a pick, but you gain multiple points when he throws those touchdowns. So I think he comes out with the Colts, a good team, good offensive line for a change for him, and he could produce and be a solid guy. You either can stream or you plug him in and you get your 20 points out of him.
And quickly touch on that. He has a good defense too, so that
Yeah,
might make him make less risky plays. I know with the Eagles, he was trying to find himself making the play, get ahead, and the defense wanted to either give up the lead. They didn't really have a stud lockout defense except for the year they kind of went to the Super Bowl, or they got to the Super Bowl and they won it. That was probably their better defensive years. But the Colts defense is definitely top 10, top 7 probably, and this might make him play a little bit safer. So definitely could limit those interceptions that we're gonna get on here. All right, man.
yep.
Next team up.
All right. Jaguars. Now this is ETN. Obviously, first round draft pick for the Jags. And my big thing I've been talking about all off season. I don't know if I touched on it much in our last episodes, Mike. Maybe you can, jog my memory here, but they don't owe anything to James Robinson.
Dude, yeah,
Nothing.
we talked about that. 100%.
Okay. I don't know if yeah. Well, that's it. That's what it comes down to me. How many times we see these players who aren't owed anything, but they had a solid year the year before, and we're all like, well, this, that, and the other thing. The draft capital doesn't lie. The money doesn't lie. The ETN, you bring him in. He's gonna maybe he doesn't take over week 1 off the bat. He's a guy he stashed like Akers last year, some situation like that. Eventually, he's gonna be a guy that you're gonna lock in your lineup and not think twice about it.
Yeah. And the biggest thing I keep touching upon with him, I know he's one of my favorite guys coming out of this draft class, is the fact that he already has chemistry with Trevor Lawrence. Like you don't need
Right.
to spend time there. So it's like, third down, and even if he starts off on that third down running back, we've seen other backs in the league make a living off third down, being a third down back, and then they take that run with it the next year or even after a bye week and they're more utilized, and the team's like, "Hey, why are we more productive on third down?" It's because you got that guy on the field. So get him on the field more, and then boom, it's gonna make Trevor Lawrence look good. It's gonna make ETN look good. It's gonna make the offense look good.
100%. And Trevor Lawrence is gonna be pulling to have his guy on the field more,
100%.
like you said with that chemistry.
Yep.
All right, let's get into the next one.
All right, next one. This one has the Titans here in the AFC South have two real good studs that we obviously don't want to pick because they're both good. We all know AJ Brown and Hunter. Hunter Henry, Derrick Henry are phenomenal players, and we're not gonna put them up here. Outside of that, dude, we can go with the second wide receiver there, or maybe a tight end. If they don't think they bought in anybody, but it's regardless. We're gonna go with Ryan Tannehill, who always finds his way onto the waiver wire in a lot of leagues, and people
Mm-hmm.
forget about him. You can't, dude. You just can't. He has legit the same, in the same amount of games. I know going into last year, the last 8 games from the year before, he had the same amount of like snaps under center as Mahomes and had higher passer rating, more touchdowns. more yards, and it was like crazy because everybody's like, Mahomes has a lot of hype because he puts up a lot of numbers. But Tannehill, don't sleep on him. He'll go on a streak, and when he goes on that streak, he just goes. He's
Yep.
so good, and when the run game's going, the pass game's going, the Titans look really good. Tannehill is a guy and his bootlegs, man. Every once in a while, you'll get a bootleg where he just runs, takes it for 10 yards for a touchdown. He's a sneaky steal for a quarterback that'll slip, and he shouldn't anymore. He literally should not.
No, 100%. I have him. I end up having him on my team every year because
Every
either he
year.
goes super late in the draft or he's completely undrafted or someone cuts him after like a mediocre week. He runs the ball really efficiently. Best running back in the league that teams have to respect. And a dominant wide receiver one helps all bolster his fantasy output. He's a great guy to play every week. All right. You want to start this one off here? I know this is your guy.
Yeah, I'll start it off here. We got where am I at? There we go. Sorry, we're gonna go with the Denver Broncos. And this guy I drafted last year, I was high on him as a rookie. Second year player here now. And that is Jerry Jeudy we're talking about. Jerry Jeudy last year with a terrible, abysmal quarterback play. Put up 800, almost 1,000 yards, had almost 100, on pace for a 100 catch season, had over 100 targets. Point out those targets, or a lot of them were Drew Lock's fault. He mossed. There was a game against the Jets where he looked phenomenal, mossed the guy, mossed the corner, and just walked into the end zone. And that was like his swagger. And he's not an outside receiver. And once Cortland Sutton comes back and goes to that outside slot, pending any trades or any rumors going on, Jeudy will be able to go back into the slot, be over the middle of the field, use his speed, get open. And the best part is, I think last year was like the lowest he'll be. Even if Drew Lock returns, it's only going to go up. But if the switch happens and it's either Teddy Bridgewater or the trade rumors with Aaron Rodgers, it's just Jeudy, man. It's going to be, he can be a solid, sneaky wide receiver too. You can get later in the draft this year, and he'll be a stud for your team the whole year.
100%. You make a really good point about moving back into the slot. Obviously, he thrives there. And if Bridgewater does take over, which I expect him to take over after one, 3 interception game by Locke, then where does Teddy Bridgewater target? It's those short, intermediate range passes, and that's where Judy's going to thrive.
Yep.
All right, next one. Let me take this one.
Yeah, I mean,
Next, we're going to the Raiders here, and it's Josh Jacobs. I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, dude, Kenyon Drake," and me included. It does limit his ceiling, but if you look back on Jacob's career, what's the number one thing for fantasy that we've been begging for, Mike?
what is it, bro? I'm not saying. I'm gonna say touchdowns and pass catching.
Pass catching. Every year it's talked up. Oh, he's gonna do this, that, and the third. We're gonna have him out there on third downs. He never is. He never is. I mean, Devontae Booker played so many third down snaps last year and took so many pointless carries. So, in my opinion, what's the difference if it's Kenyon Drake doing that? Like Kenyon Drake's not some world beater talent. He's going to be another guy in there who's getting the third down work, and Jacobs is still going to be that what he is. He's a low end RB1, and this doesn't do much in my opinion. The O line's one thing, but as far as the whole Kenyon Drake scare, I think maybe us as fantasy players should take a step back and realize Jacobs is what he is, and he's going to still go out there and put up decent numbers for you.
Yeah, you see, in PPR it is pass catching. In other leagues, it's touchdowns. It's yards and touchdowns. So, but for us, that's why I gave you both of those because we really can go on either way. But for the most part, we are going to talk on PPR because PPR format because that's what we play a lot. But we will cover more. But Jacobs definitely, Ryan. I think you hit the nail on the coffin right there, man. Just saying that he's always been that too. He's always been dealing with somebody else there. Rather it's Jalen Richard coming on a random third down, DeAndre Washington coming in a couple of years ago, someone taking
Yep.
carries away. Josh Jacobs will always find his way to be a low end running back one, and then give you those weeks where he'll get 2 touchdowns or he'll look explosive like he did last year of week 1 against the Panthers or a few times against the Chiefs a few years ago, 2 years ago. So it's like
Yep.
he's definitely a guy you can still rely on. And Gruden said that Drake is going to be used more in the passing game, but we'll have to wait and see. So
All right, next one.
next one is the Kansas City Chiefs, and that is Clyde Edwards-Helaire we're going with here. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Ah man, it just looks so good for a second year running back for in his shoes. He's probably everybody's like, oh yeah, Mahomes has got so much more protection now. Meanwhile, Clyde Edwards is probably just hiding out like, yeah, I got such a better line to run behind too. And now
Yeah,
he's been able to have such bigger holes and bigger options to run behind. Needless to say, he's already a great pass catching back, and maybe they'll incorporate him more in the offense with Watkins gone. It's just Clyde Edwards, man. As much as you don't read in like, oh, the O line's better for the pass catching. The O line's better for the run game too. Like it's gonna make him better. Andy Reid's gonna get him more involved early. He won't be able, get the ball in the first down. He's not gonna go 3 yards. He might go 7, 8. Might take it to the house. You never
yep.
know. It's just that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm the Clyde Edwards truther around here in our league, and I agree with everything you said. The O line help. Second year coming back into the system without a COVID year, more ready to go. And again, he's a good player. It is, I can't wait. I can't wait to see him do his thing and then prove all the doubters wrong.
The media portrays that whole, oh, it's all for Mahomes, all for Mahomes, and everybody's like, oh yeah, it's all for Mahomes. I know everybody slowly starts to forget about Clyde. It's
Mhm.
and they're gonna be like, oh my God, Clyde looks so good this year. Why? Well, what the hell you mean why?
Exactly.
It
Yeah.
happens like there's so many scenarios. Let's go to the next team. I can go on for
Okay.
days before I lose my mind here. Go ahead.
Okay. It's the Chargers and it's Jared Cook. Chargers are another team with which outside of the obvious, there's uh, no great options. But Jared Cook, we've seen it in the past couple of years when he changes teams. Obviously, he had a great year with the Raiders, and then he went to the Saints. He had productive years with the Saints. Now he comes here to the Chargers to replace Hunter Henry. I mean, we talk about it all the time. The tight end landscape is horrendous. So why can't Jared Cook be a top 10, top 12, a tight end one in fantasy leagues if he's getting this Hunter Henry role?
Yeah, and dude, I know we're not gonna pick Keenan Allen or Austin Eckler here. They're both awesome guys, or Justin Herbert, who already had like a huge year last year and projected to have another great year this year. Jared Cook just keeps finding himself on teams that need a tight end, and no one else is there for the competition. No one else is there to take the targets. So as long as he can not drop the ball as much as he did with the Saints towards the end of his career, he might find himself in a good spot here towards the end of his career and be a nice vet presence for Justin Herbert to rely on, whether that's in the red zone or a quick third down, and he's got to go to him. Jared Cook can, like I said, sneak up into the top 7 tight ends, top 6 tight ends to be your tight end one.
100%. All right, you want the next one here with Buffalo?
Yeah, Buffalo Bills. Dollar bill, man. Dollar bill. That's Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley last year. This guy, but outside of Diggs, man, and Josh Allen, Beasley was so reliable. Like you can plug him in at your wide receiver 2, at your flex, wide receiver 3, depending how deep your league is, and Beasley will get the job done for you. He'll get 7 targets, 5 catches, 65, 75 yards, and it's a nice 11-point, 12-point game you got there for yourself. He was just Josh Allen's go-to guy to move the chains,
Right.
and he just went to him, and he was dealing with injuries, so he'll be coming back. He had knee problems last year. He's getting older, yeah, but he's still gonna be like that Julian Edelman-esque kind of player where he'll get those extra yards, man. He just fights, and I love that about him.
Yeah, that's just what it comes down to. He is literally to a T reliable. That literally should be his nickname is reliable. You plug him in your lineup, you're guaranteed 10 points out of him. I think last year's lowest outing was what, like 5 points or something like that, but his upside was 30.
Yeah,
When it's not Diggs, it was Beasley, and they didn't really add much behind them. So I think Beasley can be another guy, another year of
I
Beasley being a reliable guy.
I wouldn't say when it wasn't Diggs it was Beasley because Diggs showed up every game. I would say when it wasn't
Well, when
anybody
Josh Allen wasn't throwing it to Diggs, it was Beasley.
Beasley, yeah,
That's it.
yeah, exactly. All right, next one on
Okay,
the list. Go ahead,
I'll
man.
take this one away. It's the Patriots, and we got Hunter Henry. Now, they brought in 2 tight ends, which does suck, but Hunter Henry's not really known to be a prolific blocker at all, to where Jonnu Smith is, and he's already been talked up by the Patriot staff that he is a phenomenal blocker. He's a freak, is what he is. But Henry, I feel like, is going to be that guy that's running more of the routes, which is what we've seen him do his whole career. And I think he can surprise people and come out and become another in this tight end landscape, another tight end you can rely on, and maybe surpass Jonnu Smith as the number one, tight end target on that
Yeah,
team.
I honestly think either one's gonna be fine, but like you said, the blocking from John is gonna probably make him find himself blocking more often than Henry, and that might allow Henry to be more, you know, open in the end zone and in the red zone scenarios where John is set to block. So Yeah, Henry is probably the sneaky one right now. We're gonna go in and bank on because he's more the pass catcher.
Sir,
All right,
take Miami, brother.
Miami Dolphins, and we're gonna go with the rookie Waddle, Jalen Waddle, who's gonna be coming out and he's reuniting with Tua, where I think they played at least a year together. Waddle didn't have any playing time because that team had a lot of weapons or less time than he would have in this past year. Regardless, Waddle is a top 10 draft pick here, and he's going to see the field. He's going to be on a team that's got a good defense where they'll get the ball on the offense and look to make instant impact with learning from Devontae Parker, having Will Fuller on the outside. He'll be able to slide right into that slot, and I think with his speed and his athleticism, Tua might go to him early and often, and this could be like sort of like what Higgins had with Boyd. Burrow in Cincinnati. This could be the same sort of chemistry we see here with Waddle, and Waddle could be definitely the best rookie wide receiver we've seen in a long time.
Yeah, he's obviously a super high draft pick. Chemistry with Tua. Look, Tua doesn't have a cannon of an arm. Waddle, he's going to be running those, short routes, and he's the type of guy that'll take a slant to the house. I love Waddle this year, man.
Yeah. Last
All
but not least for
right.
the AFC.
It's the Jets, and it's Mr. Michael Carter. Michael Carter's the running back that the Jets drafted this year.
I keep
Obviously
saying
in the
run
draft.
left.
Yeah, exactly. Run left. We should make a T-shirt.
Yeah, I definitely should, or put that on my sign.
But again, exactly. That brings it back to this: is their offensive line's improved. They obviously traded up to get Elijah Vera Tucker in the first round after taking Mekhi Becton last year. Rookie quarterback who's already, I know it's early as hell, but he's doing good in these mini camps, whatever they got going on. There's no set running back there. Obviously, it was Gore last year, it was Bell, and Pirine, and Carter can come in and easily take that role. Carter is a very good running back. So
I
I
think at
really
one
like Carter as a guy you can draft and
I
play.
think at one point they had Ty Johnson too.
Oh, yeah, Ty
But
Johnson.
yeah, but no, Carter, man, with the big old line, he's definitely gonna be able to come in. They also increased their head coaching. I know that goes unheard of a lot, but yeah, anything's better than Adam Gase. That guy's a shit stain. Um,
Yep.
Michael Carter here definitely once he gets the role again, same thing with ETN. They're gonna be like, hey, why does our team look better with him on the field? And it's just gonna he'll start playing the field a lot more. And rather that might take a little bit, we'll have to wait and see. But he's in such a good spot once he gets that workhorse role. All right, let's hop
Sure.
over to the NFC here, and I'm gonna let you start off the first one, my good sir.
All right, Packers, and it's Amari Rodgers. Give you a sec to get on the NFC here, but
Yep. Sorry.
all right, no, you're all
Right up
good,
there.
brother. All right, so Amari Rodgers is obviously the receiver they drafted. They haven't invested in a receiver in the last couple of years. It's been Devontae Adams and no one else. They've been trying to make it work with Lazard, obviously Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and it hasn't worked. So they bring in their guy, Amari Rodgers. Who knows if Rodgers plays, but we're obviously right now we're going as if he does. So Amari Rodgers comes in, and I assume he would take that role right away. I mean, he's a really good player. They obviously think of him highly. They took him in the third round, and someone needs to step up behind Adams, and why not the rookie kid? So I really like him as someone that you can be a sneaky start for you.
Yeah, and this is another one of those scenarios. Again, there's not many teams. There's a few teams I would say that are like in the scenario where they have three really good studs already that we can't pick. You know what? Because they're the obvious. They have Adams,
Yeah,
they have Rogers, they have Aaron Jones. We're not gonna pick one of those guys. You
even
can make it.
Tanyan
Yeah, I'll say you
can.
can make a case for Tanyan, but dude, he got snubbed from the Pro Bowl last year, honestly, and he was a top 5 tight end. So that's kind of the obvious too. I like Amari here as well. Being a rookie coming in, they don't really like Lazard. Lazard's also off the field a lot, bro. And
Yeah, he is.
Marquez Valdez-Scantling hasn't lived up to
Can't
what they
catch.
wanted. Can't catch, fumbles. So Amari Rodgers, I'd say even without Aaron Rodgers, he might have something with Blake Bortles. Who knows? Because that team will just be going down the drain. But he'll
Get the
definitely
hell out of
be
here.
definitely step up for the wide receiver 2 spot right there on the list.
Yep.
All
All right,
right,
Vikings.
Minnesota Vikings, and again another team that's got Thielen, Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, but we're gonna go Irv Smith, big tight end, fast, athletic tight end. After replacing Kyle Rudolph, I had a blank. Kyle Rudolph is gone. Irv Smith is going to come in and will be that big body guy. He's a little bit more athletic than I would say Kyle Rudolph. Kyle Rudolph is a lot bigger and blocker size than Irv Smith. But Irv Smith definitely can be a sneaky tight end that will find himself up in the top 7, top 8. That team relies heavy on the run and the play action. And with the outside play of Justin Jefferson and the bigger target Irv Smith coming in, he can be finding himself in those holes in the defense and just be that check down target that Kirk Cousins goes to while he has 2 outside wide receivers streaking down the field, crossing out down the field. So don't
Yeah,
be
dude.
go ahead, man. I'm just saying I want to be just keep an eye on him.
Irv Smith's a guy that's been hyped up for fantasy for the last couple of years. Never really came to fruition. Obviously, Kyle Rudolph being there does hurt that. Kyle Rudolph's gone. They didn't bring anyone else in. I think it's Irv Smith's time to shine. We always talk about we don't see rookie tight ends break out. It usually takes till about year 3. And if I'm correct, I believe this is his 4th season, third or fourth season. So if he comes in and he gets those snaps, he's a guy you're going to hopefully relying on fantasy, and I think he could be a breakout player.
Yes,
I like him,
sir.
man.
I'm confirming that it is his 4th year because I know we go into a lot. It's actually his 3rd. So this is
Third
his
year.
3rd season,
This could be his big breakout year, man.
and he had some good play last year. I know more often
Shows flashes.
his rookie year he didn't have a lot, but last year he did have a few games I think where he had 2 touchdowns, and then the other games he just wasn't even there. But again, Kyle Rudolph is still there, and Justin Jefferson emergence was there. So I think the team going more that way, no tight end. So all right, let's go to the Detroit Lions. And
Me or you?
You take it. I had Irv Smith.
All right. Amon-Ra St. Brown. He is the rookie receiver the Lions drafted. They have no one there. Tyrell Williams and Rashad Perryman. I don't think either of them will be someone you can rely on. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown comes in as a rookie, and I think he dominates at the receiver room. There's no one else there. He's a very good player. And it comes down to Jared Goff's new guy, so there's no rapport with these other guys. They're all new players, and why not the rookie they just brought in? I'm sure they're gonna scheme some stuff up for him. And
Yep.
it really just comes down to the weapons on the team. There's not much out of Hawkinson and Swift.
Yeah, I mean that's really it. And those wide receivers, like you said, those guys haven't been made much of a career in the NFL with the other teams being a 1. They kind of just been the mediocre hanging around guys. So he doesn't really have that tough of a job to beat out people. It's just getting those reps on the field, getting the connection with Goff, and taking that. Sky's the limit for him, I think, next year. And obviously, Goff is his quarterback too. We've seen Goff play in the past years. It could be very shaky, but my man's got probably easy job to take over everybody. All right, with that, we'll go to the last team in the NFC North, and that is the Chicago Bears. This one might be a little obvious, but because he's a rookie and it's their quarterback they just picked, Justin Fields, I think a lot of people are expecting him to come in and take the job right away. They did say Andy Dalton is their starter right now, but Matt Nagy, that's not going to last. We already know that. They're so excited for this kid to come in, and I think he's going to have a smash spot right away on the team. Connect with Allen Robinson. He'll run the ball. He'll definitely get a lot of rushing touchdowns, and we talked about that with our quarterbacks. That rushing upside is huge, and I think that's where he's going to smash expectations. In the red zone, he's just another threat for the Bears to score. And this could let Justin Fields be a potential top 12 pick for fantasy. It might be on the lower end, but it's definitely those rushing upside that he'll bring to the table.
Their top 12 quarterback should be.
What?
What'd you say?
Top 12 quarterback in
Yeah,
fantasy.
you said pick.
I said pick? No, I meant fantasy.
Top 12 pick. Yeah.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
Top 12 pick, pump the brakes. He's not finding himself top 12 pick. Top 12 quarterback fantasy is what I meant to say.
Absolutely. He's, obviously it's
Low
rushing.
end. Yes.
Rushing quarterbacks are elite in fantasy. That's what it is. He has some weapons around him, and I think he can make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, we saw like Jalen Hurts gotten some starting roles last year, but that's just because he can run the ball.
Right, 100%. And and Fields is way better than Hurts.
Yeah. All right. And I mean, that's going to lead us to the next position potentially if it's Taysom Hill on their center. I mean, we're going to go with New Orleans Saints, and that's either QB. We both like him. If it's Taysom Hill, it's the rushing upside. If it's Jameis Winston, I think it's going to be he throws the ball a lot more, and he's a little bit I think, more accurate than Taysom Hill, and he's played quarterback longer. He knows it better than Taysom Hill. Where Taysom Hill is just accustomed to running the ball.
Right.
So expect either one to be having a great year. Probably
Yeah.
not, but fantasy wise, yeah. I mean, one's gonna rely heavier on the run, the other one's gonna rely heavier on passing touchdowns, and both.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
The
gonna
only
work.
way it doesn't work out is if they do some bullshit rotation and it's Till Hill is playing, he comes out to start, Jameis comes in and they do some weird shit, which I
Yeah,
wouldn't honestly put it past them. But look,
yeah,
either way, we saw it with Jameis in Tampa Bay. You played him every week in fantasy. He was getting you 30 points. He'd have 3 picks, but he'd have 5 touchdowns.
yep,
That's just how Jameis is as a player. If he cuts down on that, the upside lacks, but he'll still throw touchdowns. He has Michael Thomas there. Kamara is a great pass catcher, and Taysom Hill's going to run the hell out of the ball. So it's just a good situation.
yep. All right,
Next,
Tampa Bay, good man.
it's Gronk. We dabbled with some other names here, but I feel like Gronk's the only not obvious one that you can rely on that's gonna be consistent for you. Obviously, like we always talk about, the tight ends suck. So Gronk with Brady, obviously that connection is apparent, and they're a good team. They're not just gonna all of a sudden become shitters. So he's gonna be throwing touchdowns, Brady, and he's gonna be throwing them a lot to Gronk. There's no other real tight end that's good behind him. OJ Howard's, he's not good. He's been a wash his whole career. And it is what it is. I think Gronk could be someone you plug in at your tight end if you obviously don't address that earlier in your fantasy drafts, and you can bank on 10 points at least out of him.
Yeah, Gronk, he played a lot he was on the field a lot last year. I think his problem was inconsistency. He would have weeks where he would go like 3 weeks in a row where he was smashed, or 2 weeks in a row, and then after that he'd go like 1 or 2 weeks in a row where he wasn't relevant at all. He was outside the top 10 for tight ends, top 15. It was kind of like, make you throw up in your mouth a little bit. But I think that's because it was his first year coming back, and Brady wanted
Mhm.
to work him into the offense, as so did Bruce Arians. Now that that's there, obviously look at the Super Bowl. I think he had 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. They're just gonna build on it, man, and it's gonna be incredible. I think he can find himself in a good spot for tight end position.
I agree.
All right, next,
Falcons.
we're gonna go to the tight ends for the Atlanta Falcons. This should be an obvious. This is their pick they took at number 4, and that is Kyle Pitts. And this kid is just an athletic beast, pass catching beast. Just there's no way around. And that team throws the ball 650 times this year now because there's an extra game. So he's going to get his fair share of that pie, and we don't know if Julio's gone. If Julio gets traded, that's even more targets for Pitts.
And we
So
don't know how good Mike Davis is going to be. Could rely
exactly. Yeah.
on throwing it even more.
Mike Davis, yeah, man. I mean, dude, Kyle Pitts. It's got. I mean, Julio and Calvin really, we right now are good. And we know Matt Ryan's good. It was either Pitts or Davis here, but Davis last year kind of. Yeah, I got Pitts, man.
No, I agree. Obviously Davis was good, but I'm saying like if he comes out and he's not that good, like he doesn't have a good scheme like they have for McCaffrey, obviously with the Panthers, and he's underwhelming. What are you going to do here? You're going to throw the ball. And we know the whole, rookie tight ends don't really produce, but Pitts is next level. I think he can buck that trend a little bit. And even if he has an Evan Ingram season, I think Evan Ingram finishes the 4th tight end his rookie season. So if you're getting the 4th tight end out of Pitts, it's a great, great guy. All right.
Well
Now,
said.
speaking of the Panthers, Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson comes in. He's familiar with their head coach. Obviously, last year they brought him in and they schemed it up for him. He was very good for fantasy. And this year he's coming back into it. DJ Moore, McCaffrey, a lot of weapons there. But Robbie Anderson's going to be a solid target in fantasy drafts later in those, later-ish rounds that you can get. And you're going to get wide receiver 2 with consistent wide receiver 3 value out of him. So he's one of those guys you snag him and you bank on him.
Yeah, and I keep saying it too. Like him and Darnold already have chemistry, and I'm big on chemistry. Like 2 years ago, Robbie Anderson killed me, and 3 years ago killed me in the playoffs because that one week where him and Darnold connected for 2 touchdowns was crazy. And I expect him, right away to come into that role with Sam Darnold and just find that, chemistry they left off on with New York and be solid for fantasy. Yeah, like Ryan said, like you said, man, um, maybe around like 7, 8, potentially that
Yeah,
late. Find him, and he could be a wide receiver 2 for you all year. All right,
sure.
we'll go on to the NFC West. and we're gonna start the Hawks here. And the Hawks are a tough team because we already got Russ, Carson, you have DK, even Lockett too, man. But we're gonna go with Lockett just because out of the other three I named, Lockett's a guy. We saw DK break out last year. Russ we already knows great. Carson we already knows good. Lockett just got his bag. And Ryan, I know we talked about this, man. You're big on the money. Follow the money, you keep telling me. They paid him for a reason, and there's a reason why he got paid, and he's going to get his fair share of looks. He already connects with Russ a lot down the field and strikes. He's a boom or bust kind of player, but even the weeks where he does bust, he'll still get you 10, 12 points. But the weeks he booms, you're looking at like 30 plus points.
Yeah, he'll win you
So,
a week.
yeah, exactly.
And he why he's here as well is people might be scared off. Obviously, you saw him finish really bad last year, but even the year prior, he had a bad finish, and so does Russ. Russ is kind of like that for fantasy. But if they can if they can get that consistency down a little bit more, then you're looking at a locked-in wide receiver one. Like he was like the wide receiver like 3 or something nuts for those first couple weeks, whatever it
Yeah.
was, through like week 8 or something. So he's a guy that obviously we know his ceiling is. If he can just get that consistency up, then phenomenal.
Yeah. All right,
Okay.
number 9.
49ers here.
Shane, your team, man.
Mr. Shane, and it's Brandon Ayuk.
Ayuk.
Obviously, Debo's there. Debo's a phenomenal player, but Ayuk, we saw some really good flashes out of him. It's there's gonna be him and Debo competing and Kittle, but I think Ayuk can surpass Debo. And Debo can't really stay on the field. I know Ayuk dealt with
Yep.
some injuries, but they're all similar players. They're super explosive, and if Trey Lance comes in and locks on to Ayuk, it could be really really good stuff going on there in San
And
Francisco.
I think it's gonna be like you just said, man. Debo's gonna find himself off the field, and then Lance or Garoppolo, more likely Lance, is gonna find himself connecting to someone else who can stay on the field, and I think that's gonna be Ayuk. So that's where that's gonna build up right there, and Ayuk will be the perfect spot. All right, we'll go to the Los Angeles Rams, and this is Cam Akers. Cam Akers last year, the last couple games of the season, started to take off and find himself in a little rhythm. Just lost his quarterback to upgrade his quarterback to Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford likes to throw the ball a lot, you know. However, DeAndre Swift in Detroit with Matthew Stafford developed a little bit of a pass catching role and got points that way and was great. Cam Akers has proven in college he can catch the ball, run the ball behind a bad O line, and make something out of it. And with the Rams coming into that scenario, just the offense looking to get better. Akers doesn't have to deal with a lot of competition. They lost Malcolm Brown. I think Darrell Henderson is still there, so it's just him and Henderson. But Akers is the better back. He's got a great coach in McVay. They're going to use him, and he's going to be that second year, smash spot for you in your roster. It's just there's nothing really not to like about this guy. He ended the season on a great note, and he's going to build on it in 2021.
Dude, I love Cam Akers. When we go through our obviously closer to when we draft, our final rankings, I have Cam Akers really high. I do have him
Same.
as an RB1.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I'm on the borderline there
that's how high.
right
So
now.
I love him. Obviously, people might be a little hesitant because it took him a while to break out. Really, it took him till the last 5 week stretch, and a lot of people got burnt. He was on waivers in a lot of places because he wasn't doing much. He dealt with injuries, and I think that's a big part of why we didn't see him take over sooner. I think Akers comes out this year and he's going to ball out. And honestly, I do have him. I think he's like 11 or even 10 on my ranking. So I cannot wait for the season.
Yeah, and when we get there, obviously we'll get more in detail on that. It's gonna be fun to talk about that because I am a little bit lower, but we'll get there. All right,
Okay, Cardinals.
take over. Last one for the AFC or NFC West.
Chase Edmonds. Chase Edmonds. I drafted this guy the last 3 years, 2 years. Stash him on my bench just because of the upside as a handcuff. He's always talked up that he can be a workhorse. Obviously, it never comes to fruition. However, it's James Conner we're talking about that they brought in behind him. They paid him dirt cheap. I think it's $1 million.
And he
He
gets
was
hurt.
productive even with Drake last year. I think he performed better when Drake was on the field than the small sample size. It was one game when Drake was out. But still, he's a guy, he catches a lot of passes. It's a good offense. It's an up and coming young, good team. And I don't think we should be scared off of Edmonds just because of a cheap veteran contract for James Conner.
Yeah, for sure. I was for one was so high on Edmonds coming into this year, and when they signed Connor, I was kind of like, ah man. And when they released the contract, it was only about 1 mil. Like you said, it's kind of like yeah, they kind of didn't pay him for much. He's kind of a change of pace guy. They didn't pay him to come in and revitalize his career. No, they bought him in to be a change of pace guy for Edmonds, and will probably rely on Edmonds more to work with Murray in the run game. And I think Edmonds has got I think he's got the keys to the car now. It's he'll if he loses it, it's all on him.
Yep. Real quick, I just want to butt in here before we get to the next team, which is my team. Spoiler alert. Anyway, the schedules are official. They just dropped. It's all official. So by the time you're watching this, schedules will be out. Everyone, check out your favorite team, see what you got going on. Obviously, it's a lot of fun to, you know,
See who everybody's
prediction
playing.
on how your team's going to finish. But they're
Yeah,
officially live. So
awesome.
it's
Let's
cool.
go. I can't wait to look at it. All right, let's go. I'll give you this one.
All
I'll
right.
let you go back to back.
NFC East, it's the New York Giants, and it's Danny freaking
Dimes.
Dimes. Daniel Jones, the big number 8, obviously, always got to represent. But we talked about it again in our bounce back players. Daniel Jones, or maybe it was the sleepers. Either way, watch all our videos; they're all fire. But Daniel
Every
Jones is
single
the guy.
man
Up every single one. Is it the guy with rushing upside, which we love in quarterbacks?
falls down the
Uh,
5 yard line.
yeah, shut your mouth. Uh, he's a guy with a amazing amount of weapons. Obviously, Kenny Galladay, Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard, rookie first round pick, Kadarius Toney, Evan Ingram, Kyle Rudolph, Saquon Barkley. Like, are you serious? It sounds like a fantasy roster. It's unbelievable. If Daniel
Fantasy
Jones can
roster for
come in
food.
and he can cut down on the fumbles a little bit and produce a little bit more through the air. Obviously, last year he dealt with injuries, blah, 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 yada, yada. I can make excuses for him all day. If that team comes together, Daniel Jones is the centerpiece of it, and he can be phenomenal for your fantasy roster and a plug and play every week quarterback one for your team.
100% agree with all of that. I
Big
agree with
balls
all
on
that.
Danny Dimes.
This is Daniel Jones' year. If he doesn't do and have the jump that Josh Allen had, Josh Allen's jump when they brought in Diggs, and if Daniel Jones doesn't make that same jump when they bring in Kenny Galladay, you'll find Daniel Jones' replacement in a year or two, and he
Well,
won't be
that's what
there.
we got the Bears first round pick. So we have 2 first round picks, potentially 2 high first round picks. We can trade up and grab the best quarterback or one of the best quarterbacks, or we can stay put and grab a
Yeah,
quarterback and offensive line or
or
something.
just go trade for Ryan Fitzpatrick. I don't think he's played for you guys yet.
Or we can trade for Aaron Rodgers.
Or that.
Sorry.
All right, enough with the Giants, man. Daniel Jones, I'll let you have your time to shine. But we'll go into the big old competition in that division, the Philadelphia Eagles, and we got Jalen Hurts here. One thing about Jalen Hurts is the rushing upside. He will get you rushing yards, rushing touchdowns on top of passing touchdowns. And we know rushing touchdowns for a quarterback mean a lot more than passing touchdowns because you're expecting those passing touchdowns to come. But the rushing touchdowns, you don't really expect them. And when they come, it's like Christmas morning, especially if you get 2 or 3 on the same day. It's awesome. That's what makes him relevant. And it's what made him relevant for the 3 or 4 games that he played last year to spot start him. You could start him because all he did was run the ball a few times and got 65 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, and that's it.
Yep.
So that's
Love him.
Hurts.
I love him in fantasy. Obviously, he's not a good quarterback in real life, at least from what we saw. But as far as fantasy goes, he's running that damn ball. They have a good running back, so read options could open up a little bit with Miles Sanders back there. They bring in Devonta Smith to put pieces around him. Bro, Hurts could be in a good spot here.
Yep.
All right, Washington football team, and it's Curtis Samuel. Throw her up there, Curtis Samuel. Now, obviously McLaurin, Gibson, obvious. We could go with Fitz Magic. He's always kind of a streamer guy. So it's Samuel. Fitzpatrick has a tendency to lock on to one receiver and really propel him to that next level in fantasy. Obviously, we saw it with Devontae Parker 2 years ago. And listen, if he does somehow lock on to Samuel on top of what they're going to scheme for Samuel, because obviously he's versatile, you can put him in the backfield. He's familiar with Ron Rivera from his Panthers days. If they do scheme stuff up for him and Fitzmagic falls in love with Samuel, which I'm sure he will, then Samuel's going to be a guy who's going to potentially put up wide receiver 1 numbers for you and probably be, a solid wide receiver 2 or 3 on your team.
Yeah, and I know we touched on the whole tight end target thing, and with a new quarterback coming in, who's targets at tight end, they're going to lose. Also, Ryan Fitzpatrick doesn't really target his tight end a lot. I mean, he started to build something with Mike Gesicki in the red zone, so maybe you see that with Logan Thomas. But on the middle of the field, and as they're getting to the red zone, he's going to target Terry McLaurin and he's going to rely more on Curtis Samuel. So look to Curtis Samuel to be a sneaky play, sneaky steal this year in your draft because of the fact that people might not think he'll do much. You can get him late and potentially see how he rolls out. I like him a lot this year too. All
Third,
right, let's go to the
Cowgirls.
last but not least, the Cowboys, America's team, playing on Thursday night, confirmed against the Buccaneers, and our breakout guy this year, who was looking to break out a little bit last year, and that is CD Lamb. And CD Lamb is just fast, elusive, pass catching. Like he's got a lot of good weapons there, a lot of good weapons in his repertoire that he could use to make him dude, just great. Like he can be alongside Amari
Mhm.
Cooper and just be. They can both be wide receiver ones. It's just that's how it be.
Literally.
Dak Prescott looked phenomenal. If he can get back to that same play he had last year in the first 5 games, 100%. I don't think with a doubt in my mind that there could be two wide receiver ones on the Dallas Cowboys in CD Lamb and Amari Cooper. What the
It's their
defense is,
defense.
the defense is
It
so bad they
sucks.
have to throw
They're
700
gonna
times.
throw, bro. Yeah.
Exactly. So that makes CD Lamb awesome this year.
I can't even add to that. It's their bad defense mixed with Dak, who's a good thrower and good passer, and CeeDee Lamb is a phenomenal receiver, as we saw, even with crappy quarterback play last year when Dak went down. It's a recipe for success, my friends.
Yeah.
So seriously, I highly recommend go through, screenshot these with the AFC and the NFC. Keep your mind on these players that we brought up when you go into your upcoming fantasy drafts, and these guys could be really good for your teams.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap it
Okay.
up here.
Yes, sir. I think that's everything. And
That's it.
again, like the video, comment the video, subscribe to the video, click the bell, get the notifications when we drop videos. Follow our Instagrams at 2dudes1ballff. That's 2 and that's a 1. And on Instagram it's at 2dudes1ball and that's at the number, that's a number 2 and a number 1. Please follow us, reach out to us, DM us, tweet at us, post something, comment us, and let us know if we missed any players. You guys have someone in mind, questions. We have a link tree in our Instagram and our Twitter account, and it's also in the description of the video. You can write to us anonymously, or you can let us know your thoughts on the video. We love everything. Please, we just love all the support. And peace and love from me, and have a great day until the next episode.
God bless.
Yes, sir. Peace and love.
Thank you for listening to the Two Dudes, One Ball Fantasy Football Podcast. Please like, subscribe, and comment below.